The Ancient Church of the East. Officially, the Ancient Holy Apostolic Catholic Church of the East distinguished itself from the Assyrian Church of the East in 1964. It is one of the Assyrian churches that claim continuity with the historical Patriarchate of Seleucia-Ctesiphon, the Church of the East, one of the oldest Christian churches in Mesopotamia. The church is headquartered in Baghdad, Iraq. In 1970, Catholicos Patriarch Maradai Tugawagas succeeded Marthoma Damo. History. The Ancient Church of the East emerged as the result of a schism within the Assyrian Church of the East, in opposition to reforms introduced by Patriarch Mar-Esher-Shimun XXIII of the Assyrian Church of the East, including the substitution of the modern Gregorian calendar in place of the traditional Julian calendar. The Ancient Church of the East seated itself in Baghdad, Iraq, headed by a separate Catholicos Patriarch. Following the schism, the position of Catholicos Patriarch of the Ancient Church of the East remained vacant from 1964 until 1968, when Marthoma Damo was named the church's Patriarch. Marthoma was elected as a rival Catholicos Patriarch to Mar-Esher-Shimun, who continued to serve as the official head of the Assyrian Church of the East, headquartered in the United States. The elected Catholicos Patriarch Marthoma was a native of Mesopotamia, and a former metropolitan of the Assyrian Church of the East based in Thrissur, India. Marthoma served as metropolitan from 1952 until his resignation in 1964. Upon becoming the head of the newly formed Ancient Church of the East, he immediately relocated to Baghdad. Under the tenure of His Holiness Marthoma Damo in September of 1968, Maradai Gawagas was elevated to the rank of Metropolitan of Iraq. Similarly, Mar Aprem Mukhin was consecrated Metropolitan of India, and Mar Poulos was consecrated Bishop of India. These prelates in turn consecrated Marthoma Damo Catholicos Patriarch of the Ancient Church of the East during the first week of October 1968. Marthoma then became the first Patriarch of the Ancient Church of the East. Marthoma served as Patriarch for just under a year before his death in September of 1969. Though he served for a short period of time, his legacy was defined by his commitment to upholding the traditions of the Church of the East. Under the tenure of His Holiness Maradai II following Patriarch Marthoma Damo's death in 1969, Maradai II assumed the position of acting Patriarch, and was later elected to lead the Ancient Church of the East in February 1970. In the meantime, he consecrated two metropolitans, both in December of 1969. Mar Naseh Toma was consecrated as Metropolitan of Kirkuk, and Mar Toma Aramia was consecrated Metropolitan of Nineveh and northern Iraq. Maradai's official jurisdiction at the time was Baghdad. Together, on February 20, 1972, Mar Naseh and Mar Toma consecrated Maradai Gawagas as Catholicos Patriarch. Expansion of the Holy Synod in 1985. Mar Daniel Yacob, Bishop of Kirkuk of the Assyrian Church of the East, was accepted into the Holy Synod of the Ancient Church of the East. He was to head the parishes in California, but ultimately served as an auxiliary bishop. In July of 1992, Mar Yaqub Daniel was consecrated Bishop of Syria. The following year, in June of 1993, Mar Emmanuel Elia was ordained Bishop of the Patriarchate of Baghdad. In 1994, however, Mar Emmanuel shifted his residence and became Bishop of North America and Canada. Between the months of November through December of 1995, the Ancient Church experienced several major changes. Mar Aprem Mukhin and Mar Poulos, along with the Church of India, reunited with the Assyrian Church of the East for external reasons. During that same period, Timothaus Mar Shalata was accepted into the Holy Synod and appointed Metropolitan of Europe, and Mar Yaqub Daniel was elevated to the rank of Metropolitan. 10 years later, in July of 2005, Mar Yaqub was transferred from Syria to serve the church community in Australia and New Zealand. In April of 2009, Mar II consecrated Marziah Koraba as Bishop of Baghdad. In the same month, he ordained Mar Aprem Daweed as Bishop of Duhok. In 2011, Mar Aprem resigned after serving just 2 years. 2011 also saw the resignation of Mar Emanuel. Months later, in August of 2011, Mar Yaqub Daniel and Marziah Koraba consecrated Mar Marie Emanuel as Bishop for Australia and New Zealand, assisting the Metropolitan. Most recently, Mar II consecrated Mar Gorgeous Union as Bishop of Chicago. Mar Gorgeous is currently the youngest serving prelate of the Ancient Church of the East. Structure of church hierarchy. The Ancient Church of the East recognizes 9 positions in its hierarchy. The positions are ranked as follows: Patriarch, Metropolitan, Bishop, Archdeacon, Core Bishop, Priest, Deacon, Subdeacon, Reader. The Patriarch is the supreme head of the Church, and oversees all dioceses of the Church. The Church has an episcopal polity, meaning it is organized into dioceses, each headed by a bishop. Dioceses are organized into ecclesiastical provinces under the authority of a metropolitan. Each diocese is made up of several parish communities. The individual parishes are staffed by at least one priest. Priests are assisted by deacons, subdeacons, and readers. All members of the clergy may preach, baptize, witness marriages, and conduct funeral liturgies, though deacons, subdeacons, and readers assume an assistant's role. Only those ranking above a deacon, however, can celebrate the sacraments of the Eucharist, though others may be ministers of Holy Communion. Administering the sacrament of holy orders are limited only to bishops, metropolitans, and the Patriarch. Holy Synod. Current Mar II, Catholicos Patriarch of the East. Mar Yaqub Daniel, Metropolitan of Australia and New Zealand. Marziah Koraba, Metropolitan of North America and Europe. Mar Gorgeous Union, Bishop of Chicago. Deceased Marthoma Damo, the late Catholicos Patriarch of the Ancient Church of the East. Mar Nase Toma, the late Metropolitan of Kirkuk. Other prelates: Mar Aprem Mukhan, Metropolitan of India. Mar Poulos Polaus, Bishop of India. Mar Emmanuel Elia, Bishop of North America. Mar Timothaus Shalata, Metropolitan of Europe. Mar Toma Gawagas, Metropolitan of Nineveh. Mar Aprem Daweed, Bishop of Duhok. Mar Marie Emanuel, Bishop of Sydney. Mar Daniel Yacob, Auxiliary Bishop of California. Since January 2011, the Synod of the Ancient Church of the East has split between those accepting the Patriarchate of Mar II and those old calendarists rejecting it. The anti-patriarchal party is headed by Timothaus Shalata. Individual parishes in Sweden, Denmark, Germany, United States, Australia and the Holy Land are adherents of this hierarchy, who Mar Timothaus Shalata, Metropolitan. Mar Toma Gawagas, Metropolitan. Mar Daniel Yacob, Bishop. Mar Marie Emanuel, Bishop. List of Catholicos Patriarchs of the Ancient Church of the East. Prior to 1964, the Ancient Church of the East acknowledges the traditional lineage of the Patriarchs of the Church of the East in Babylon from Mar Shemun Keeper until the Schism of 1964. The Ancient Church considers itself a true continuation of this lineage, and recognizes the Assyrian Church of the East as the same. Directly following the split from the Assyrian Church of the East, the seat of the Patriarch remained vacant for 3 years before a Patriarch was elected. 1964 present vacant. Marthoma Damo. Mar II as acting Patriarch. Mar II. International Dioceses. Patriarchal Archdiocese of Baghdad and Basra. Archdiocese of Kirkuk. Archdiocese of Nineveh and Northern Iraq. Archdiocese of Syria. Diocese of Europe. Diocese of Australia and New Zealand, Archdiocese of North America, Diocese of California, Diocese of Chicago. Relationship with the Assyrian Church of the East. The ancient Church of the East was distinguished by its intent to maintain the traditions passed on by the Church of the East. The schism that divided the Church of the East into two parts resulted mainly from controversial changes introduced by Mar Eshmun 22. The most obvious of these was the decision to replace the traditional Julian calendar with the Gregorian calendar. Additionally, there were concerns raised in regards to the succession of the Patriarchate. The Patriarchate had been hereditary in the Mar Eshmun family for 6 centuries, often resulting in the consecration of minors as head of the church. For example, the late Mar Eshmun 22 himself was ordained Patriarch at just 12 years old, under the tenure of Mar II. The ancient Church of the East has made several gestures towards reunification with the Assyrian Church of the East. The most prominent of these is undoubtedly the declaration made in June of 2010 stating that the ancient Church of the East would now celebrate Christmas on December 25. In accordance with the Gregorian calendar. Previously, the Church recognized the Julian date each year as Christmas Day, as the Church of the East had for thousands of years. The decision was to be implemented later that year, on December 25, 2015. This was the first time since the schism that the two churches celebrated the Christmas holiday on the same day. Despite this decision, many Church of the East Old calendarists rejected the move, so in an attempt to avert further dissent, the Holy Synod maintained that Easter would continue to be celebrated according to the Julian calendar. The declaration related to the celebration of Christmas was perceived as an attempt of reconciliation, and encouraged efforts for talks of reunification. A joint Holy Synod between the two churches was postponed, though is expected in the near future. The international Assyrian community has long since advocated for reunification, particularly in response to the 2014 and 2015 attacks launched against Assyrians in Iraq and Syria, respectively. Since that time, relations between the churches have improved on every level, particularly in the United States, Australia, New Zealand, and parts of Europe. Churches resumed dialogue of reunification in early May 2015, following the death of Mardinka IV. Catholicos, Patriarch of the Assyrian Church of the East. Dialogue of unification resumed between the churches. Reunification of the two branches of the Church of the East was encouraged by the Patriarch. Following an informal meeting between Mar Gorgeous Yunan and Mar Paulus Benjamin, an official meeting request was delivered to Mar Mukan, acting Patriarch of the Assyrian Church of the East. On May 22, 2015, a meeting involving prelates of both holy councils took place in a suburb of Chicago, Illinois in the Library of St. Andrew's Assyrian Church of the East. Present were Mar Yaqub Daniel, Mar Zaya Koraba, and Mar Gorgeous Yunan representing the ancient Church of the East, and Mar Gorgeous Sliwa, Mar Awa Royal, and Mar Ishaq Yusuf representing the Assyrian Church of the East. Archdeacon William Toma served as the meeting's common secretary. Mar Yaqub Daniel flew in from Australia for the meeting, and Mar Zaya travelled from Canada. During the meeting, recommendations for unity between the ancient Church of the East and Assyrian Church of the East were delivered through the selected representatives of each branch. The primary issues discussed were church leadership and the Holy Calendar. It was decided in this meeting that the individual synods would meet separately to further discuss the terms. Another meeting between the two churches would then be scheduled to continue negotiations. It was requested by the ancient Church of the East prelates that the election of the new Catholicos Patriarch be delayed until negotiations had been concluded, in the hopes that a unified synod would elect a successor together. In the event that the churches agree to reunify, Mar II would be expected to resign. The Patriarch has already given his blessings. provided that the celebration of Easter Sunday in accordance with the traditional Julian calendar is maintained. On June 1, 2015, the Holy Synod of the Assyrian Church of the East met in Erbil, Iraq to discuss the future of the Church. The date had previously been arranged for the election of the new Catholicos Patriarch. Marwa Royal issued a statement on the same day, notifying the public that a response to the ancient Church of the East's recommendations for reunification had been delivered to their prelates. The letter requested a prompt response to the terms, and the election of the new Patriarch was suspended until the following week, on June 8, 2015. On June 2, 2015, Marwa Yunan issued a statement on behalf of the ancient Church of the East stating that a provisional decision had been reached to reunify the two branches. The statement, dated June 2, 2015, also indicated that the Holy Synod of the Ancient Church plans to convene in the near future to issue a formal response. On June 5, 2015, Marwa Mukan issued a formal statement announcing that the election of the next Catholicos Patriarch of the Assyrian Church of the East was suspended until September 27, 2015, pending the unification of the churches.